here in 3 minutes. Welcome to the show. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. Super excited to talk to you guys today. I took a little bit of mini vacation here. I have just returned from paternity leave. I'll show you this nice picture of my son, Bruce. He's 4. This is the best picture I've ever taken of him, holding my newborn Adam. So my middle child, Bruce, here is such a social butterfly that he is so motivated by other people and human beings, as well as food. But I could not believe the smile he put on for this photo. So thank you guys for all the well wishes. I really appreciate it. So today I'll be answering your questions. I also just returned from nose surgery about a week ago and do not have my stamina returned yet. So if you think I'm a little off today, that would be why. Should be back in full health and spirits by next week. So one of the cool things that came across my radar today is this website called Long Bets. It's kind of silly. It's this really silly thing. And the wife was pinging me with it. And she's like, yeah, there's some really cool stuff in here. And it's like, what, you can bet somebody when the first time somebody's going to be born out of the womb in the next 20 years or whatever. So she was asking me, and my wife's name is Emily. She's saying, hey, Stephen, what are your long bets for Amazon? And I said, that's not a bad idea. So I'll give you a couple of my long bets today. If any of you guys want to add your thoughts in the comment section, let me know what you think is going to happen long-term with Amazon. I'll be happy to bring those comments up for debate today. I would say probably one or two predictions I'll put on the table here today. I think Seller Central and Vendor Central are going to merge together, and there won't be central vendor or seller. It'll just be one location. I thought that would have happened by now. So I'm surprised that one hasn't happened yet. Another bet I'll make is that Amazon continues to make additional advertising areas where more locations to put your ads up. I think that will also happen. And then another prediction I'll make, I think Jeff Bezos will probably get off the rock. That dude seems to be very focused on getting off Earth with a colony here in the next 20 years. That'd be a couple of my Amazon predictions. If you guys have a prediction too, feel free to put it in the comments section. We'll see what everybody else says. I am also assistantless today, so I'm going to do my best to focus on member questions first wherever I can. And so if you are a member of the channel, I will prioritize your questions. So we'll go to them first. If you want to become a member, just go over to youtube.com/myamazonguy. We'll do our best to prioritize your questions. All right, so let's go to SC Trojan Baller. What are the certification requirements for listing food items on Amazon? Nutritional label. I read that the facility needs to be FDA registered. Do you have more insights? Supplier is not FDA registered. So it's not a challenge at all. Generally speaking, you can load food pretty readily, easily. If it's a supplement or a health claim, the requirements are much more severe. But I believe a lot of food items can get listed on Amazon without any FDA information, believe it or not. So I actually don't think that's a big hurdle. Grocery is a low margin business. That's one thing I'll let you know. So if you're considering getting into grocery or anything like that, keep in mind there's not a lot of margin or profit to work with because it's highly competitive and quite frankly heavy to ship food items, liquids especially, and you know you've got issues like expiration dates and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily the most friendly category. Have I heard about Amazon not accepting pending trademarks for brand registry? Is that true? No. In fact, we do this every single day. We get a trademark question every single time I go on the air here. We have a service. We've filed more than 300 trademarks just in the last year alone. And we do that very quickly. We use an attorney. If anybody needs to launch a second or a new brand, check us out at myamazonguy.com. Just go over to services, click on trademark registrations. We have them for the US. This is the preferred brand registry. I recommend doing it in the US. However, if you have any hijackers in Canada, you're going to want to do it in Canada as well. And yes, you can take a pending trademark just like this. You don't have to purchase it from me. You can get your trademark from anywhere and then go to Amazon and file for brand registry. But the benefit of doing it through us, we're really lightning fast and effective. We also send a full brand registry guide on how to complete that full process with every common bug already documented in a guide for you. Let's go to Cupcake Sprinkles backend keywords. Can you use competitor brands? Absolutely not. Used to get away with this about a year ago, but now with trademark infringement taking a new level, cannot use any trademark phrases, competitor brands inside of your search terms. That's really, really risky. Words like cancer, anxiety, depression, arthritis, I would definitely avoid anything related to cancer. Anxiety, probably okay. Depression, I'm on the fence with. Arthritis, depends. It just really depends on what your product does. Health-related items have some of the most complex structure requirements, policy issues, and whatnot. So be very careful on your selective of words, what you both put in front of the listing as well as in the back end. For example, if you sell a hemp product and you put the letters CBD in the search term field, you're going to get banned in 24 hours, almost guaranteed. Got to be very careful with health-related items. Thank you very much on the new baby. Congratulations. It is a special time. I really appreciate that. I'm going to jump down on H10's keyword tracker under rank average and rank ASIN. What do the red and green numbers mean? I'm trying to understand this data. Well, this is a pretty good show and tell question. So let's see if we can go over to an Amazon listing and do this together. So we'll share my screen here. So I'm going to go look at my Age of Sage product. And we're going to click on the listing. This product is something I launched in the first week of May, right before Mother's Day. Sold $135,000 in gross revenue. in the first 3 weeks. Did really well. I'm going to click on the keyword extension, going into Cerebro here to demonstrate the question that Cupcake Sprinkles is asking on the red and green. And this is going to probably be related to the search volume trend, is my guess. And basically, certain words spike or diminish depending on the seasonality of the year. So one of the really cool words that came out of this, look at that, indexing 4,000 keywords here, which is epically high for a product that's barely a month old. And if we go scroll through here, you can see the search trend volume is down for gift for mother. That would make perfect sense because it's no longer Mother's Day. So if we wanted to sort this by search volume and go look at some of the largest words, and maybe we want to filter it for the word mother, include phrases that include mother, right? And then we can see like, okay, what has the biggest propensity? So if we look at the search volume here, see that giant spike, boom, right around Mother's Day, you can see it, but then it goes back down. And so these are words that are going up and down on a weekly basis. There's a really good word. Didn't see it trigger here, but we've showcased this a couple of times. There was a word that spiked to 5 million search volume during the week of Mother's Day. And obviously right now it's like way less. Let's see, this might be the one. Well, this is a pretty good one here. So this one spiked to 785,000 during that May spike, but it's all the way back down to 100,000 nowadays. So those are what the green and red mean. If that doesn't answer your question, let me know. All right, so let's scroll down and see if we have any other member questions in queue. Dr. Ka says, hey, Pope, cheers to your family and congrats. Best gift from God. Absolutely. 4 kids, 5 and under now. Hands are definitely full. Supplements. We have 50 characters per bullet. I'm being told to only use 250 as industry standard. Your thoughts? Yes, I would. So certain subcategories have some higher tensions, higher rule sets. If you can get away with putting the full 250 characters in per bullets and it shows up on the front end of the detail page, I would keep it. Definitely is going to help you. But making changes on supplement items has more risk, more likely to get something removed or taken down. So you'd have to be a little bit more careful. Tana says, do you have a tutorial on flat files? Would you consider doing one? Absolutely. We have several tutorials on flat files. This is some of the more advanced stuff. It's super boring, but it's also some of the things that we're best in class at my Amazon guy. One of the first videos I would look at if I were you, Tandis, is the one where we have how to export your bullet points and using a category export request out of Amazon. And here is the video for you, Tandis. So this video, and I'll share my screen so you can kind of see what it looks like. This shows you how to use a flat file and how to upload it, where to go, and all that good stuff. So I definitely recommend watching that one following today's session. All right, let's scroll down. Dr. Ka says, hey, Pope, I was suspended because your delivery speed metrics for your seller-fulfilled Prime detail page views have fallen behind the required targets. Back up, so all good. Made more products overnight, Prime available in all states. Any other thoughts, though? Yes, seller-fulfilled Prime, one of the most difficult programs to maintain, high cost, doesn't work very well for most sellers. So I definitely recommend going slow with it before you go fast. Maybe hyper target states that are around you. So I'm in Georgia, so it's much easier for me to ship to Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas than any other state around me. So that might be where I first geo target my seller fulfilled Prime shipping methods. And then for other states, maybe don't enable it. If you don't meet your delivery demand and you don't get the item there in time, they'll take away your privileges, and that's definitely directly related. Got a new member. Thanks, Javier, for joining the channel today. Really appreciate that. Thanks for your support, Javier. All right. And I think that is all of the member questions. So I'm going to go to the top of the queue now. And Luca says, hello, Stephen. As of lately, we've seen a lot more talk about the Maldives launch method with Search Find Buy. This was first created by Bradley Sutton of Helium 10, or at least he nicknamed it Maldives. And it seems to work well for ranking. What is your opinion about it? Have a great Friday afternoon. So Search Find Buy is highly risky these days. Definitely don't do that more than like 5 or 10 times per product in the first 2 weeks. I would not do an aggressive like 100 giveaways or anything like that these days. It's not as effective. Hyper focus on PPC and advertising, though, would be a very good method to go a chase when you're first launching a product. For those that don't know what the Maldives launch method is, that's when you don't create the listing until the last second, you ship it in and go live immediately. And this basically triggers an Amazon system, a propensity to jump in the keyword rankings. It is not required. For most sellers, I typically recommend just setting the launch date in the more details section as a sufficient 80% of the value with less effort. Part of the reason why you might want to set a launch date instead of trying to create the listing at the last second is because A+ content can take up to 2 weeks to publish. There's just a lot of things you want to have done on your listing. So it's an advanced technique. Don't recommend it for most people. But if you have your own warehouse and you can ship out of your own warehouse, you probably should look at the Maldives methodology. Kalimba says, should you keyword stuff a parent ASIN? This is a hard question to answer. There's not a lot of conclusive data on whether putting search terms in the parent SKU will matter one way or another. I do know that each child ASIN has its own keyword rankings, but when in a parentage situation, they combine all together. They're still reserved at the child level, but they display at the parent level. And generally speaking, parentage is very favorable. You would like to have lots of products connected together because they, in many categories, still share reviews. However, that is going away. And so until you have like 2 really good winners and they're equal and equivalent, if you only have one winner product, then having lots of lesser winning product connected to it can be very beneficial. But if you have 2 winners that are just like, let's say we got 50 units a day on product A, 50 units a day on product B, I would break those out. You don't want to have those connected. And the reason for that is when you have items that are connected together, they don't show up in search results multiple times. So in situations where you have multiple items that do well, breaking them out of a parentage so that they are living on their own or in a smaller parentage can be very beneficial. So here's an example of what that could look like. This is an item that has a parentage with different glasses that are available. So somebody could come in here and select which glass they think is the funniest to them. Maybe wine aerobics is good for somebody who likes to do drink wine but also do aerobics. But maybe somebody is a cat fan and they prefer a can adult today, right? For example. Now, if 2 of these products were just really way above the class with everything else, it might make more sense to go ahead and separate some of these parentages out. So my historical bestseller, I'm not drinking alone, I'm social distancing, was banned from advertising back in February. Still a good seller, but no longer a breadwinner. And so if I had a second product that was equivalent to it, I would probably separate those out and create a second parentage. Alan says, hey, Stephen, global selling program works in terms of services, in terms of reviews. Does Amazon transfer your reviews automatically, or are you basically having to start from scratch? So in the last 2 months, they stopped combining international reviews across listings. So that's a pretty recent development. So you are at this time starting from scratch in most instances. Tunadan says, hi, Stephen, I heard that if you don't sell in the first 90 days after opening the account, it may be downgraded. That's true. From China, it's difficult to catch this time period. Have you heard of it? Usually it's more like 6 months, but I have seen this personally. And the moment you get a sale, you can just re-upgrade the account. So this is not something you need to worry about. What I recommend is trying to get a sale on the account. Yeah, you could literally just go down to some clearance center and just hawk an item just to get the first sale on the account. Really not a big deal. But if they do downgrade, you can just re-upgrade, no problem. 9197 says, on a brand new listing, how do you determine what you want to bid for a keyword? I've heard that the suggested bid can be misleading, but I don't know where to start. I would always start with a suggested bid and see what happens. If you don't get enough impressions, then up the bid. You might have a relevancy problem where you don't have enough keyword juice inside of the listing. So for example, if you're advertising a wine glass, but you don't have the word wine or glass on the listing and you advertise for that keyword, you probably aren't going to get any impressions. So you do want to make sure that the words in your keywords for PPC are also present in the detail page. But start with the suggested bid. If that doesn't work, massage the bids upward until you get some impressions. If you never get impressions for the keyword, it's generally because it's not relevant according to the algorithm, and that needs to be updated. Can I use premium word in bullet points? Can you use the word premium itself? Yes. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. That's just an adjective. No problem there. Nylon 97 says, how can you set up follow-up emails to send to customers with instructions on how to use the product? So Amazon has really nerfed the ability to communicate with customers. Most sellers are opting out of receiving any seller information, but they have a new feature that just rolled out where you can opt in to seller communications. And so you can find that inside of customer engagement inside of the brand dropdown of Seller Central. I will see if I can pull up a screen and showcase that here momentarily. But basically, your ability to communicate with the customers is very, very difficult. So one of the things you could do is load a PDF with instructions to the listing itself, especially if you have a lot of problems that occur on the listing, right? So if you have issues with people using the product incorrectly and you have a high return rate, this becomes a lot more important. You might want to use the A+ content a little bit or a secondary image to also support with that. That can also be somewhat helpful sometimes. All right, so here is the section in question. So if you go into your Seller Central, put your cursor over brands, go over to customer engagement here, and you can see, it's not available for everybody yet. But you can opt in and check it out there. If you have it available, it'll be in brands, customer engagement. David Scott, can you explain on the copy listing section, is this helpful or do you not suggest it? Some of my listings are very similar. Figure this would speed up the process. Personally, I don't like to use the copy button. It is safe to use, but I prefer just doing a template upload. David, the more sophisticated you get as an Amazon seller, the more template upload work you're going to need to do. Data backups are really important. The same video I gave earlier in the comment section with how to do an export of category listings report probably will save you more time than hitting the copy button. The other thing is sometimes the copy button, it tries to keep the same UPC data and you're trying to switch for an entirely new product. That's kind of why I don't like it generally. All right, I'm going to scroll down, see if we have any other member questions. So Cupcake Sprinkle says on the keyword rank. So we already did that one. Let's scroll down. Are plural indexed separately from the same word as singular in titles? Bullet. Should title keywords be repeated in the bullets if they are highly relevant? So when you first launch a product, I recommend doing exact match on everything and keyword stuff as many locations as you can. As the product matures, you're going to want to take away some of the duplicity of some of those keywords, the plurals versus the singular, and pick the one that makes the most sense for the listing, whatever sounds the best generally, and pull some of those out to make room for additional keywords. This is an advanced conversation. Generally speaking, Amazon system is smart enough to calculate the singular versus the plural. Same idea with a broad match keyword inside of advertising. You can select a broad match and it will do both singular and plurals of a word as well as other iterations. So like an ing versus an s, those kinds of things. But in terms of getting exact match for your keyword juice, I do recommend getting as many exact matches as you can inside of your titles, inside of your bullet points as you possibly can, because it triggers it and it's safer, it's more guaranteed. But once you have about 1,000 keywords indexed on a listing, it's less important. So this is more about keyword juice in the first 30, 60, 90 days of a listing. Over time, not as important to duplicate some of those efforts. All right, scrolling back up here. How important is it to have in the backend keywords in the phrase form? I only have 18 unique words out of my 47 words. I'm at SEO phase 2. So for those that don't know, we use 3 phases of SEO. In the first phase, you're basically mimicking the top 10 competitors and pulling in whatever is relevant based on those top 10 listings. Phase 2, that's when you have what we call the pink word update. That is when you're going to remove words that are in your title out of the backend search terms. So what you want to do is delete the other words. So about 25 or half of your words there, S green, are duplicates already in your title. So you can safely remove those from your search terms and add new words in. you're going to rotate your search term field. This will feel uncomfortable the first time you do it, but once you see the data and once you see 1 or 2 weeks later, your keyword rankings go up overall when you make this change, you'll see why it makes sense. SEO phase 2 is the shortest phase. You only need to do this for 30, 60 days sometimes. And then once you have 50 keywords in rank 50 or above, you then can go to phase 3. And that's where you're going to throw out the rule book of phase 1 and 2 and hyper focus on matriculating keywords between ranks 20 through 50 and trying to get them to ranks 1 through 10. And you're going to hyper focus the title, the bullets, the search terms on specific keywords. But in phase 1 and 2, it's all about indexing, incremental indexing, as I like to call it in phase 2. And so when you're incrementally indexing for additional keywords, it's good to rotate out that search term field. It'll be very, very beneficial by doing that. Do you think your IPI score will be taken into account again in the last quarter? My IPI score is only 367, but improving rapidly. Do I have enough time? Anybody's guess on this right now. IPI score pretty much doesn't affect anybody because they have the restock limitations in place right now. And so I would say they've got to be bringing it back at some point, but when they do it, I don't know. I don't believe the supply chain is going to be fixed this year. Supply, like the cost of what you have to pay to ship a container out of China right now is exorbitant prices right now. There's also not a lot of room inside of 3PLs at all right now. And so it's very, very difficult to find room to store your stuff. Amazon is still out of space. Very, very difficult to get stuff shipped in because of the restock limitations. So I do think that it behooves you to try and increase your velocity, Glenn, if at all possible, but it's not too late necessarily. Lucho, thank you for becoming a member of our YouTube channel. Really appreciate that. All right, let's go to the next question here. All right, Jordan says, let's say you launch an accessory product to a highly searched product, glass cleaning tool specifically for a Momstir wine glass. How would you rank that accessory product to terms of service compliantly? Well, I mean, you put all the same keywords you would normally think of, right? So if it's going to be an accessory to a wine glass, maybe to like clean it or whatever, you would still put all the terms like wine glass in it, but you would be more focused in the vernacular of the keywords around the accessory, the function of what it's trying to accomplish and do. And so there really isn't a lot of challenges with terms of service on this, in my opinion. There's not really a lot of landmines you have to worry about. Jordan also goes on to say, how would you go about ranking that accessory product without getting in trouble for running PPC on somebody else's brand name or including compatible with? Well, I think that's the real big key right there. You just nailed it. If you have the phrase compatible with, that'll save you from having a trademark infringement problem, right? So premium brands, so like I have a client that does air purifiers and they have filters that are compatible with their brand, and that they don't like that. So of course they're going to try and get you taken down, but it's technically compliant. There's no problems at all as long as you're very specific that you're compatible with and you're not that brand name. So one of the most important things you would do, Jordan, is don't put the brand name in the brand attribute. You have to have a different brand name in the brand attribute. That'll help you try and avoid any challenges there. Tunanan says, the search term shirts for men, do you think I should use it the for in my search terms? No, most likely not. You don't need exact match in the search terms field. It's a run-on sentence, and it's going to iterate and connect those dots. I would have shirts for men exact match in the title of the product or the bullet points for sure, though. Can you still put green tick marks to the side of your bullets? Yes, but not necessarily in certain categories. Amazon is basically signaling they don't like emojis, but they haven't necessarily prevented you from using them in all the categories. Health-related products are usually the harshest rules, supplements, anything that helps you with health. Those are the bullets that you cannot use emojis. You will get suspended, suppressed, and have problems. But like home and goods, gift items, really not a problem at all. Thomas says, my item would easily fit the standard EU envelope, but he's got his product a little bit bigger. Unfortunately, Thomas, I don't have a good answer on this particular question. There's probably not a chance that you can get Amazon to use the standard envelope unless you have them resize your product and meets their requirements. They're very black and white about this, unfortunately. Jody says, my A+ content banners include all of my text. I was told there is no benefit to adding text in the text boxes as the keywords are already in my bullet points. Is this okay? So Jody, I would actually contest this. In my experience, having lots of crawlable text in your A+ content will help your product rank significantly better. And you can test this yourself. If you run a product with lots of text in the A+ content and one with just the banners, then you can see it for yourself. The one with the words will have way more words indexing. I just pretty much guarantee it. Amazon is on the record saying they don't index the descriptions or the A+ content or the alt text, but I know they do. And the reason I know they do is because I've put Spanish behind one photo alt text and it totally ranked for Spanish. You could also put words in the A+ content descriptions and those boxes there, and you'll see the same thing will happen. So it's very important to put copy in your A+ content. It doesn't look as nice. Your designers will resist it, but for SEO purposes, it's extremely important. Brandon says, happy Friday. My NCX rate is very poor for one SKU. Upon recalling all the units, I noticed Amazon relabeled them a different product. What should I do if this happens again? That's so I've seen this happen multiple times on my Momstir account where like I'll ship in like a product that's anti-shark and they put it under baby shark or uncle shark, right? And they swap the products around. The NCX rate is usually because customers have a high return rate or a complaint rate of the item. And the fix here is to make sure the shipments don't get mixed up. So whenever you ship items in, I recommend using case lots instead of individual boxes, and then make sure that there's only one type of an item inside of that case and make sure it matches the FBA item in question so it checks in correctly. That's the number one thing you can do to avoid problems with NCX rates. And when Amazon mislabels them incorrectly on their side, doing a removal order is generally the best practice. It sucks. A lot of time and resources are wasted on this, but that is generally the most correct thing to do. The last thing I'll mention here, if you try and ticket and ask Amazon to audit or bin check, they won't check all of the warehouses. They'll check one or two of them. So the problem will persist following that. Dick says, launching products in gift box, ordered some competitors, got sent some by Amazon without a box, just label slapped on. Is there a way to force Amazon to box your product? The answer is no, there's not. I sold this Sweet Heat hot sauce. I leave it next to my desk to remind me how incompetent Amazon is. This is a 5-pound glass bottle of hot sauce. I had 50 positive reviews. Everybody loved it. Great product. And then Amazon shipped it out in padded envelopes. Of course, you can figure out what happened with that. The padded envelopes exploded. Hot sauce went everywhere. The only way to get Amazon to ship your item out in a box is to ship it into Amazon inside of a box. Sonny says, I followed every step on the CA trademark to kick out the hijackers, but Amazon's reply was no action can be taken as the trademark is not registered. In Canada, it takes 3 years to register a trademark. We've had 90% success with this. We've had 10 people buy a Canadian trademark from us. We have a video tutorial on this. We are trying to troubleshoot the one person that bought from us that is having the exact same problem as you, Sonny. From our experience, you just got to keep filing as many tickets as you can until it finally will go through. So try and be noisy on this question. You could also try filing it as a copyright infringement instead of a trademark infringement to try and get around that. But we've had a lot of success with this. So if you have hijackers in Canada, filing for a pending trademark in Canada and then using that serial number, you can immediately, same day, get listings taken down. We had over 100 listings for Momstir where we got them fixed within 24 to 48 hours. So we know it works, but it's not a guaranteed thing, but it does work. Brandon says, we finally launched our first private label product. However, when we went live, items got checked in. Our delivery date was 6 weeks out, killing our conversion. Should we close the listing? Not necessarily. What I would do is I would just set the launch date and kick out when your item will go live. If you haven't set a launch date before, you can go into the edit section of Seller Central. So I'll demonstrate that here. Go over to the more details section and scroll down and look for launch date and release date. If you kick these dates out, then your item will not be indexable until it goes live. Tunana says Amazon is saying that the cheap word is prohibited in search terms. It kind of is, but there is search volume as cheap t-shirts. So what I would do is I would maybe write around that question, maybe like write a bullet point where, not all cheap t-shirts are treated the same or something like that, and try and get your cheap word in there. But it's not necessarily something I think you'll get into trouble with if you have it inside of your search terms. Kevin says, hello from Lakeland, Florida. Hello to you as well. Jessica says, I just shipped my first box, but gated to sending in most things. How do I go about the LLC route so I can ship in more? Not sure where to go and get it done right. So LLC and tax information, completely unrelated to gating of categories on Amazon. It's a totally different thing. You just need so if you're gated in grocery, for example, you need to show an invoice of where you bought your grocery items from. If you're gated in health and beauty, you need to have a certificate of analysis or for your topicals on gating and things like that. But LLC, not important, not critical. You can get away with that. I do recommend you run an LLC though, Jessica. It's definitely beneficial. Pet Artists. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for having the guy on a couple weeks ago who demoed Elite Seller. Terrific. All the costs reasonable. Bernice gave us an hour demo via Zoom. Well, great. Glad to hear it. I always like to hear when people are having success with the guests we bring onto our show. So I really appreciate that. Trushara says, what data can I pull in to get something similar to lifetime customer value? How much is the average customer spend on my brand on Amazon? How do I get that data? There really isn't a lifetime value calculation available, but there are some brand engagement analytics tools inside of Seller Central. So if you go into Seller Central and you click on brands, go to brand analytics, and then go down here to purchase behavior, you can see what people are buying, what they're doing. You can go to demographics, see what the typical age is of them. I believe that the weekly data doesn't populate, so you got to go quarterly here. So in here, you can see that the most common age demographic for purchaser of my items is between 35 and 44. And you can see, people that make 75,000 to 99,000 are my top demographic. So this is the best data you can get. Education level, gender. I heavily skew female, 63% here on female, and mostly married individuals, 53% married, almost 20% not, 15% not married, and a bunch of information not available. There's no lifetime value metric though available, unfortunately. You have to do that manually through other data sources, unfortunately. Jessica says, thank you very much. Cute little babies we got here. Thank you very much, Jerry. Congrats to you as well. Second time. This is my fourth time. Happy Father's Day coming up here. Jason Moss. Hey, how are you doing? Georgia Manufacturing Alliance CEO here, Jason Moss. I met him when I first started out my agency, toured a bunch of facilities over in Georgia. And I have still been trying to make more stuff in America. So big fan of the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance. Thanks, Jason. Derek says, I enrolled in NARF and got a translation failed error for Canada, but not Mexico. I've actually never seen this. This is interesting. Let's see what this says. Mexico is working fine and generating sales. I manually uploaded the files to create listings in Amazon Canada. They were successfully created, but my US-based FBA inventory is not linked. Can I link the FBA inventory, or is there another way to do this? So I've never once seen a translation failed error. So I don't know how to coach you on this one, Derek, but what I would say is that NARF is completely broken. There's no support for it. So I would spend an hour trying to fix this. And if you can't fix this in an hour, just revisit it in 90 days. It is not worth trying to ticket or try and troubleshoot. It's been broken for 6 months. No support for it whatsoever. Nothing like being a father. Totally agree. Adam says, I created a shipping plan about 2 months ago, have not marked as shipped yet. My units won't be ready for 3 more weeks. Will the shipping plan automatically close? Will Amazon still receive my goods? Absolutely. Don't have to mark the shipment shipped. Not a problem at all. Won't have any problems. Tunana says, well, I was thinking about, I got nice prices from supplier. Amazon increased the FBA fees. Yes, this was a planned increase. It normally goes in January. They delayed it till June. But yeah, that was a planned increase. You're always going to see FBA fees go up, probably a quarter or 50 cents on average per shipment. Pet Artists, I did my own trademark for $230. Took about 6 months during COVID. It is easy. It is not necessarily easy because there are 2 critical components, in my opinion, that can be messed up: the specimen and how you write the trademark. And a lot of people don't know what kind of class to select. They don't know if it's going to go through, and they don't know how to do a search. There's actually a lot of complications for this. But if you are somebody that's very detail oriented, want to file your own trademark, by all means, it is possible. But the nice thing about our service, we'll get it done for you in less than a day. Don't have to do any research. And the number one thing you can do and spend your time on is going out and finding more product. So one of the things I always try and encourage people to do is don't try and become an expert at everything. Just become a hyper expert at one thing. And so if you're really good at operations, shipping stuff from point A to point B, the best use of your time is shipping more stuff from point A to point B. So if you want to go spend a day and learn how to file a trademark, you can. It's doable. There's resources out there. But I just recommend hiring an expert for any sub-service that you don't have to go spend time learning about. Tested by teachers. How do you find out about what keyword competitors use off Amazon? Google Ads. So one thing you can do is you can use SonGuru's tool to see your competitors' keywords in the search term field. You can also use other tools like Helium 10 to see what they're advertising on within Amazon. But in terms of seeing what they're advertising off of Amazon, I don't have a tool of choice, but I do know it exists. You can manually test this yourself by typing in words and see what they show up for. That's obviously a lot of work, but I bet there is a tool for something off of Amazon. All right, let's go to Javier. 3 days prior to Prime Day, one of our ASINs delisted for violating restricted product policy. It's a hair product. What could trigger this? Competitor may be trying to delist prior to Prime Day. It's always based on a selected word in the listing. Sometimes if you have a hijacker in Canada or other countries, they load data in the search term field or the title and try and mess it up to get it taken down. So if you haven't, go check your Canada listing ASAP. See if there's any problems with that. You can also export a category listing report to see what's going on with the listing. If you see any data that was loaded that doesn't have something that you've listed yourself, you can check it out and try and get that updated and removed. Other than that, you just need to call in and talk to Amazon and try and figure out like what's going on with the listing, like what word is causing the problem. Sometimes you'll get a good rep who can identify that very quickly for you. If all of that fails, consider hiring my Amazon guy for our listing reinstatement service. We have a money back guarantee if you've not submitted any appeals before you contact us. And we can get everything from copyright takedowns, trademark, medical claims, listing condition complaints. This is an expensive service, but it's also white glove, and we get right into it, get the listing back up as quickly as possible. So I'd say about 70% of the listings, we get it back up in about 48 hours. And then some of them take a month, and there's nothing we can do to speed that up further. Jay says, what should be included in our purchase invoice? Amazon rejected 3 times now. Most important thing, you need to match the seller name in the invoice and the address of the seller on the invoice. Those are the 2 most important things. If you have those correct and still having a problem, you probably need to hire us for a coaching call. We'll look at the invoice with you and see if we can figure it out. Adam says, I created a shipping plan about 2 months ago. Have not marked it shipped. Yeah, you're totally fine there. They'll still receive it. No problem. Lucho says, congratulations, Steven. Amazon keeps reducing my ASIN maximum inventory levels. I started with 5280 and now down quite a bit, 2731. So they are doing this to everybody. They're just simply out of room. They don't have enough room for everybody's stuff. That's the problem. So they're trying to find a way to limit their exposure to shipping items in that don't sell, and they're trying to make it fair and equitable. It's not, and there's no way to get that increased other than pull back your bad inventory, ship in less at a time, and try and focus on increasing your IPI score. Those things are not easy to do. They take a long time to evolve. Fail that, enable a merchant fulfilled shipment option on your account and ship it out of your own warehouse. Those are the only things you can do. There's really nothing outside of that will help you. Tana says, thank you for the video. We'll take a look. Hopefully that helps you with your flat file loads. Jay says, also, if we select other carrier instead of Amazon partner, USPS, we then need to take carrier labels from its office, or we can print them online also. APC is not available in our area. So I do like partner carrier. I think it's really, really beneficial to do that. If you're doing a merchant fulfilled shipment, you can use something like ShipStation to auto print those labels automatically for you. If you're shipping in FBA shipments or pallets, I just print them right out of Seller Central usually. I think we did that one already. Scrolling down. All right, let's do an ASIN review with cupcake sprinkles today. Going to go over to Amazon. We're going to type this in. So here's the ASIN B002VL Z8DU. We'll see what this is. All right, so Barlean's Seriously Delicious Total Omega-3 Vegan Pomegranate Blueberry Smoothie from Gel Oil, flaxseed oil. All right, so thing I think you need to do is add a people picture. I think that's the most important thing. I also think that you've got the supplement facts covered here, so I think this photo is wasted. I would cut this one. This is a really good photo. I really like this one. I think that's good too. But I think that these two are too similar. So I would cut one of these two and I would probably swap that out. And I think 2 new photos with a picture of a person smiling, target demographic, will help with the conversion rates. Add a video to the listing that will also increase the conversion rates. Bullets look good. Titles are good. Let's look at the keyword rankings and let's look at the history. So if we go 1 year history here, so this item did really well in May and it's now not doing well in June. Looks like the price hike had a very heavy toll on the listing. Maybe had a little bit of a stock out potentially for a day. But I don't know if this Mother's Day doesn't do as well after Mother's Day. That's kind of weird though. Let's look at the all time. So yeah, this product is probably past its prime is kind of what I'm seeing here. All right, so let's look at the keywords. 1,900 keywords index, only 2,600 advertised. So I like to see a 1-to-2 ratio. This tells me that the indexing of this product is inferior. So probably a problem with the A+ content. Let's take a look. There's actually a lot of A+ content text. So one of the questions we got earlier, this graphic right here has a ton of text in it, 0 SEO value. It'd be better to break this out and have its own text. But at the same time, there's also a lot of text already on the listing, so it's actually in pretty decent shape. I really like the product grid. You can link to other products, click through there. That's very, very beneficial. Parentage on this is garbage. You don't want to have out-of-stock products like this. So like sizing variations, 8 ounce versus 1 pound, and there's still a pack of 1. So I think that parentage is a little dirty. Don't like that at all. Let's look at the matriculation of the keywords. So you got over 50 keywords in the top 8. That's actually very strong. So I think the primary thing I'm seeing is a little more focus on conversion would be helpful, and then maybe some more indexing elements, more text in the A+ content. Let's just click this one random image, see if the alt text is present. It is not. So the designer put in sell widget A+ module, right? So like they coded it. They just coded the alt text. That's 100 characters of SEO juice that you could fill in right now and have an immediate impact to your indexing. So that's what I would focus on first. Nasib says, hey, Steve, hope you're doing well. I wanted to open up a second Amazon account, but on my sister's name. Anything I should be worried about when opening it? Same IP address, totally fine. Nasib, I would recommend getting a direct invite from a Seller Central rep if you can. If you don't have that kind of relationship, anybody that works with my Amazon guy, if you have full service with us, we get you those kinds of invites as a heads up. But basically, if you don't have a direct invite, just make sure you have a unique bank account, unique credit card, different email address. Do not add your same email address domains onto that second Seller Central account. It should be totally fine. Multiple accounts, really not a thing, not a problem anymore. And don't sell the same items on the same accounts. How do you join the channel? Just go over to myamazonguy.com. I'm sorry, go to youtube.com/myamazonguy and hit the join button. So right here, you can see join right there. And that is your easy way to put a couple bucks in per month to support the channel. We greatly appreciate that. And we try and prioritize questions from members first when we start out. Tress says, hi, Steven. Do you recommend a good site to find accurate HS codes for products? Too many sites are not accurate at all. Can't find the correct code. I don't know what acronym you're using for HS, unfortunately. Give me clarification on that. Let me know. Carol says, so Trillium won't be sharing reviews anymore. We'll talk more about that. This is a change they made about 8 months ago, and they just kind of slowly rolling it out. In certain categories, health and sports especially, reviews do not combine on a parentage. So if you were wondering, should you rework your parentage Generally, I am cautious with this. I don't like working on parentages whenever possible right now, because there's a risk that if you delete the parent and rebuild it, the reviews will not recombine. So that's the number one problem right now. If you create a new parentage, the reviews may not combine. Nasib says, I'd like to open up another name as if I want to open up a second account of my name. If I get suspended, would they suspend both accounts? No, typically not. They'll just suspend the new one. The old one will be fine. Trey says, also, how about influencers? So influencers off of Amazon, this is not my cup of tea. Our agency at My Amazon Guy, we're focused on Seller Central and everything within it. But there are many things that you can do to go chase influencers. Adam Heist did a pretty good video on this. I might just see if I can find it real quick. Adam Heist influencers. Let's see what comes up. And how to find influencers. Yes. So this is the video. I'll link to that. How to find influencers. So Trace, go check out that video. I think you'll really appreciate that one from Adam Heist. A+ content comparison module has 5 sections. What is the usage plan if you only currently have 3 products? Just put in 3. You don't have to put in all 5. No problem there at all. Anthony Fu says, how do you come up with the brand name Momstir? I like short and catchy it is. That's exactly it. I was on a walk with my family and I was trying to find a trademark name. I knew I wanted to do something focused on women. We had at the time only had 1 kid. And so I had some knowledge in wine glasses. And so I went over to the domain names. So I was looking at Namecheap or GoDaddy, just started typing in names like crazy to see what would come up. And then I just kind of fell into Momstir and I was like, well, this is kind of cool. The one downside of my brand name is it autocorrects to Momstir, like Monstir, and it's spelled Momstir, but I kind of like the brand name. It's limiting because it focuses on moms. And so we've created another brand called Age of Sage, which allows us to do things outside of moms. And so we'll develop some of those things out. But generally speaking, I try and get the .com domain whenever possible. I like short and catchy names. That's how I selected it. And it's very helpful. Anthony says, how does Amazon determine which reviews to put on the top of the page? Generally speaking, the most upvoted review was the historical way on how they did this. You will still see legacy listings that have that. Newer listings, however, it's generally recency and more engaging reviews will show up at the top. There's nothing you can do to mitigate that at this time, though. Want to become famous? All right, we got a spammer on here. Amrit said, tried brand registry and they kept declining. I appealed. Now they want to do a video call with me and want to have 50 of each of my product with me so they can see the branding. Is this normal? No, not normal. But I would go ahead and go forward with it. You don't really have an alternative, unfortunately. All right. I think I accidentally skipped some questions. I'm going to try and scroll back up here. Javier says, thank you and congrats on the baby. You're very welcome. Let's see here. Lucho says, I've been removing, but not my own brand product out of stock. Can't send more inventory. They ship directly from Peru to Amazon. Will take a while to be able to sell FBM. Yeah, you probably need to get a warehouse, Lucho. It's the only thing you can do to control your own destiny, unfortunately. Richard says you have such a great amount of information for Amazon sellers and fascinated with a lot of it. Just wondering if you guys still recruiting enthusiasts living outside the U.S. at My Amazon Guy. Absolutely, Richard. If you would like to apply for a job with us, send a resume to recruiting@myamazonguy.com and let us know what you're interested in. We would be happy. We're always hiring. We have 82 employees now, which is absurdly high. I never thought that would happen. And we're always hiring other people. We especially like people that have attention to detail because we have a lot of detail work that has to get done at Amazon. David says, have a listing up, but the description is not showing, yet is in the back end. Help. File a brand registry ticket, David. Try and get them to use your seller contribution to show up on the front end of the listing. If you don't have brand registry, go get a trademark. That should get fixed for you. Product doesn't have any branding on it, and they said in the email they want me to open random boxes to check for branding on my product. So I think it's totally fine, Amber. Go forward with that. With the decline on brand registry, you don't really have any alternatives, unfortunately. You're going to have to make it happen. Cupcake Sprinkle says, thanks for the review. The history was affected because the ASIN was in a parentage. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Going to rewatch that review 3 times at least. Well, you got definitely a lot of things you can do there. Amrit says, hi. Hello to you as well. Rob says, we do some FBM to Canada, and Amazon has great DHL rates. The only downside is I have to use Amazon's shipping portal, then ShipStation. Is it possible to connect Amazon's discounted DHL to ShipStation? I believe so. This is a question I would give to ShipStation directly, though, and integrate your DHL rates into ShipStation to see if it will work. But I'm pretty confident, Rob. All right. Let's see. Carla says, I want to add some additional product to my ASIN to make it more differentiated in my niche. It would still be the same exact product, just with a small bonus. Nope, that's totally fine. Not against terms of services at all. I think that'd be totally fine. Go ahead and do that, Carla. Just make sure you differentiate it in the photos and the title and all that good stuff too. Derek says, thanks for answering. I did let go for 90 days already. Actually, I'm trying to fix it again. Try to submit some more tickets, and I'll let you know if I have any success. Great. Glad to hear it. Do I prefer fixed bids or dynamic on advertising for a new listing? Fixed bids, I'll tell you why. Amazon's system is not smart enough to know when to go up or down with the bid on a new item. They don't have enough data. So dynamic bids is generally better for a listing that's already had 50 sales. Anything less than that, I prefer fixed bids. Hands down, no questions asked. Nasib says, at what point do you think a seller would need to rent a warehouse space in terms of scaling and limited Amazon inventory limits? I'd say $1 million in gross sales, 100% need a warehouse. Less than that, it's questionable. It just depends on how your scaling is going, right? So if you have limitations at FBA, warehouse 100%. But I just think it behooves anybody with a long-term vision for Amazon. You're going long on it. You need to have a warehouse right now. The supply chain is just so jacked up. And that doesn't mean you need to own the warehouse. It means you just need to have like a 3PL or a partner or a location where you can send stuff to and store it, because you cannot count on Amazon right now. The supply chain is so jacked up. Derek says, I was able to create the listing successfully in Amazon Canada by fixing the info in the template upload, but the new listing won't link to FBA in the US. Make sure the SKU and the UPC are connected. It might be a SKU problem, Derek, potentially. Matt says, I tried adding keywords to my A+ images, and it was getting rejected because keywords are against community guidelines. What might be causing this reject? I've never seen this. It usually just gets auto-stamped approved. But if you're using a word like cheap or some sort of promotional language on your A+ content, that will get rejected. So I would just go word by word and see what word is in there that they're not liking. And then, if you need the A+ content up live sooner than later, remove all the keywords, get it submitted, get it approved, then go back and add the keywords in later. That might be the one technique to do. Tana says, how do I get my hands on some of that hot sauce? Well, I do not manufacture this anymore, unfortunately. So if you want to support us, buy a wine glass from us or a beer glass. One of my recent products that I just launched was one of our beer glasses that says, "This is the way." So for any Star Wars fans out there, and I will showcase that here shortly on screen. So this is a really fun product. And I have one of these with me here too. And so anybody that wants to support the channel and you may not want a wine glass, here's a beer glass. Check that one out there. We have a wine glass version too. So we got this. This is one of my favorite designs I've ever made. Put a lot of effort into trying to get that down to 3 colors. Very, very difficult to do a 3-color design like that to keep the cost down. Shamvil says, if we change generic brand into our registered brand, will Amazon suspend our account? Nope, totally fine. Just a big pain in the butt to change brand names on Amazon. We actually created a brand name change service to help people out. It is a little expensive, $1,000 to change your brand names on Amazon. But if you get stuck, check out the service, brand name change. We did this for Adam Heiss, went viral, had 30 requests to do this for other people. We made the service based on pure demand, and you can get it changed here. Very safe to do this. Amazon is very finicky when it comes to changing brand name attributes. So if you got a problem with this, you need help. It's just really, really difficult work. Third-party sites for the first question, Stephen. I'm not sure how to connect the dots on that. I'll come back to you. Happy Friday. We got a nice fave icon. I love that icon. Jeffrey says, I use my category listings report file for my partial update template uploads, one product at a time. When should I be using the file template from download an inventory file page instead? I would say do a category export listing report. The video I linked for Tandis earlier has explanations on how to do that. And partial update whenever you don't need everything updated, but I would do a full update whenever you have severe data issues. And I think downloading your inventory file makes sense to do at least once every 3 months, maybe more often, depending on how many SKUs, how many edits you're making. It can be very beneficial to have a backup of your catalog just in case Amazon deletes it or wipes it out. David says, I have a new listing up. Product descriptions not showing. I think we covered that one. Just file brand registry tickets. All right. I'm a non-US resident. Want to sell a product that protects plants from being eaten by, say, rabbits. Metal product. No ingredients to repel, just a piece of metal. It's classified as a pesticide, unfortunately. You are SOL. There is no way to sell pesticides or anything marked as a pesticide in the United States if you're not a US citizen. There's no workaround for this. It's really stupid, but there's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. Really apologize. Jeff says, I use my category listings report for, already did that one. All right. Steven says, what is the lift you'd expect from a listing on Walmart on average? Is it comparable to Amazon Canada or Mexico? I've not had a lot of success with Walmart. I'd say 5 to 10% max, like max for Walmart sales. I've also tested shipping directly into Walmart's fulfillment program for Momstir. Still crickets, just doesn't do very well. I don't know what it is, but I really am surprised we have not seen Amazon or Walmart do better. Really, really surprised. Recent discussions on Amazon punishing ASINs that show up on other third-party sellers. Do you believe it is must-have to have separate UPCs for other sites? Honestly, I would. I think that there's just really high risks right now. Amazon's playing pretty dirty at the moment, unfortunately. Not a lot you can do about it. So using separate UPCs is one safe methodology, but once everybody starts doing that, they're going to find another way to connect them, like same images, lookups, stuff like that. Are commas necessary in A+ content text? Not at all. Don't use them. Not at all. I understand that ocean freights won't go down anytime soon, but can we expect at least the price to stay at the current rate? Difficult to launch new products not knowing future ocean rates. Honestly, nope. I think it's going to keep going up. So I think that we are nowhere close to having the supply chain fixed. Personally, I'm going to make one political comment. I think the governments are purposely trying to F up the economy right now. And that's not a good place to be. So when the elite are trying to mess things up, they win and everybody else in the masses loses. We've seen that time and time again in history where they try and create war and try and create problems so they can profit from it. So unfortunately, I have a negative bearish outlook that supply chain woes are going to be solved anytime soon. So take control of what you can. I think hyperinflation is a common topic that it's getting more common rather. I've been talking about 20-25% inflation for well over 6 months on my channel here and there. And now people just in the last week are talking about that vocally. And surprisingly, and the government in the United States still has not admitted that there's hyperinflation right now. There totally is. So it behooves you to invest money into products and goods in your business because your money becomes less valuable as time goes on. Do you suggest putting phrase words in the same campaigns as exact keywords? Generally, no. It's totally fine if you do it, but I would say when in doubt, separate those out. We used to put in a lot of ad groups to the same campaigns, but over time we learned that it's actually better to have lots of campaigns and separate those out. Rob says, I sold an Amazon business, including the seller account a few years ago. Account received a full payout every 2 weeks. New account leaves a large reserve, which hurts cash flow. Any way to appeal? Nope. New accounts and old accounts have totally different methodologies. And so the older accounts have been grandfathered and they don't update or mess with them, generally speaking, as long as the bank doesn't change. So unfortunately, nothing you can do there. 20 days in, sold 130 units, but I have no reviews. Normal? Yes, it is. It sometimes takes a couple weeks for the reviews to actually show up. But I think, with 130 units sold, the fact is you've already proven don't need reviews to make sales. So sorry I couldn't get to everybody's question today. I am out of energy. I just came off nose surgery. So if you have a question I didn't get to, feel free to leave a comment on this video. If you enjoyed today's session, please say thank you. Any words of affirmation that you add on to the channel help us with the YouTube algorithm and help our channel be found by more people. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. We'll answer one more question because you are a member, Scuda. If you haven't become a member yet, go over to youtube.com/myamazonguy, hit join. Is it good or bad to always use Amazon suggested bid on all keywords, not worry about them, like applying suggested every other day? Generally speaking, you want to update your ads once or twice a week, and you can update the bid depending on the ACOS or depending on your goals, your tacos, everything else can be very, very beneficial. Jody says, you rock. I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you very much. Derek says, thank you, Stephen. Tana says, thank you so much. Hope you have a fantastic Father's Day with my family. I absolutely will. Hope you guys will have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to those fathers out there as well. And appreciate everybody supplying and joining us for our channel today. Jade says, thank you. Oben also says, lit or on fire. That's the session. My name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. And you guys all have a good one. We'll see you later.